Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A family in mourning, stuck battling a travel insurance company.
Grief is unique, and we don't want to have to focus on this, and it's very trivial.
So they called Help Me Hank, and tonight he comes to the rescue.
We're glad you're with us for Local 4 News at 6. I'm Devin Skillian.
I'm Kimberly Gill. It was supposed to be a dream trip to Disney for Caleb Post and his mother and father. But when Caleb's health took a dramatic turn for the worse, they had to cancel. And they've been battling with the insurance company since. Consumer investigator Hank Winchester joins us. Hank, I cannot imagine what this has been like for Caleb's parents.
Yeah, Kimberly, Devin, this was outrageous. I was infuriated when I heard about what was playing out, especially as the family was dealing with all of this during such a difficult time in their own lives. Listen, here was the plan. Hop a flight here from Detroit Metro, take Caleb down to Orlando, enjoy some sun and fun. As you will see, sadly, they were never able to take that trip.
You're grieving your son. You will be for the rest of your life. That's just the reality of it. What was the process of having to deal with, of all things, travel insurance as you're dealing with the loss of your son?
Oh, the anger, for sure.
It takes away the time to think about him and to, and just to work through your grief.
Lisa and Chris are grieving. Their son Caleb died January 25th after a long battle with brain cancer. They had planned a family trip to Disney, hoping to enjoy time together. You see, Caleb had been doing remarkably well. He even recently threw out the first pitch at the Tiger game.
Representing kids kicking cancer, let's hear it for Caleb Post.
But the day they were scheduled to leave on this big trip, a medical emergency.
I was here working with him, and he was just laying on the couch and said, I feel really sick.
He's like, I can't go on this trip, and that night I had to call and ask for hospice.
Caleb died here in the family's Ypsilanti home during the time they were supposed to be at Disney. The almost $10,000 trip protected with travel insurance, or so they thought.
In case anything happened, in case he got sick, or just in case something happened to him and that he wasn't able to go or wasn't ready to go.
All the necessary documents were sent to the travel insurance company after Caleb died. Weeks passed, still no news, nothing. So I got involved, and the very next day, Lisa received this voicemail from the insurance company.
That after my review of the claim, I am paying the claim, and the checks will be mailed out on Friday.
Relief.
Yeah, definitely relief.
Relief, something to, during grief, a relief to have that taken care of.
We're heartbroken for Caleb's family, but we're thankful they no longer need to waste time and energy battling an insurance company.
Nothing a parent ever wants to go through, and just one less thing to have on your plate.
Yeah, we don't want you worrying about that.
Thank
He needs
you.
to worry about something like that at a time like this.
Yeah, we
Yes, thank you.
appreciate it.
That is certainly the last thing we wanted that family to worry about. I mean, as they are working to make arrangements for his funeral, they're sending documentation, letters from the hospital, death certificates to the travel insurance company, and still getting nowhere. As you heard, they're supposed to be getting that check on Saturday. We're going to make sure they get that check. We're live here tonight at Detroit Metro. Hank Winchester, help me, Hank.
Stay
Back to
on
you.
it. Okay, Hank, this will, of course, though, bring up debate as to whether travel insurance is the right move for people.
Yeah, Kimberly, Devin, industry insiders will always tell you it's the safe bet. Do it in case you have a problem, but you really have to read that fine print. You also have to understand that every travel insurance policy is different. So you have to make sure the one that you're getting is right for you, but we will tell you the one that family had, it was right for them. They just got caught up in the paperwork of this process. Back to you.
Heartbreaking. Okay, Hank, we appreciate it. And this family reached out to Hank for help, and you can do the same too. You can reach out to Hank via the Local 4 help desk at clickondetroit.com.
We're getting a look at dramatic police body cam video from a house explosion Monday morning in Ann Arbor. Watch as the home, already engulfed in flames, collapses. Wow, this happened on South 7th Street near Princeton Avenue just after 6 a.m. Officers found a man in his 70s who lived in the house and did manage to escape. He had to be taken to the hospital, but for non-life-threatening injuries. We're told the source of the explosion, 2 20-pound propane tanks that were being used for heating.
Well, trains are a problem in Trenton and have been for a while. It's an issue our Victor Williams dug into recently in our In Your Neighborhood series. Drivers routinely have to sit and wait at these train crossings, but it's more than just an annoyance. There are concerns about emergency vehicles getting through when a train is blocking the way. As part of our commitment to staying on top of these stories, Victor Williams sat down with a state senator about the hurdles to a solution.
Live from Trenton, Local 4 News starts right now.
Well, it's been about 2 weeks since we showed you the problems surrounding this train crossing right here in the city of Trenton, but here's what Senator Darren Camilleri is doing about the problem.
It impacts how you have to leave your house in the morning if you're going to work. You always add on an extra 15 minutes because it can be a problem.
If anyone knows firsthand of the problems drivers are facing at the train tracks, it's Trenton native Senator Darren Camilleri.
You're going to the doctor, you're going to the hospital. Those are really life and death situations that too many of our families have had to deal with. We've had police officers and firefighters not be able to get to emerging urgent situations.
Now he's in a position to do something about it. He was recently able to secure funding, which is the first step in what's called a grade separation. That would allow drivers to pass through either above or below the track.
In the last budget, I was able to secure $20 million to help MDOT build another one of these bridges over the railroad crossings. And it is not enough, but the $20 million is the first time that we've seen that type of investment.
What's standing in the way of the project being completed is simply more money.
I need $45 million to help build a second bridge in Trenton on 4th Street, which is still a lot of money.
$165 million overall is secured. It will not only be what kickstarts the work in Trenton, but for a few other downriver communities as well in a much bigger picture.
There's a third over in Romulus and Huron Township that we also need to address on Pennsylvania Road. But if we can address those three, then I think we will alleviate many of the challenges.
That would be terrific, but it's also a lot of money to have to do that.
And even if all of that money is secured for this project, it's going to take a while for this process to be completed from the time that the shovel goes into the ground to the end of it. So Mr. Camilleri is asking everyone to just remain patient at this point in time. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Okay, Victor, thank you.
Inflation has been eating away at take-home pay, and now a trip to the grocery store is turning a little more painful. A lot of people are using credit cards to cope with the higher prices, and that's turning into a real economic problem. Tonight, Local 4's business editor and certified financial planner Rod Maloney here with a look at the scope of this problem and one way that you can dig yourself out of that debt. Rod.
Yeah, Devin, let's take a quick look at the numbers. The New York Fed says that in 2023, U.S. household debt hit a record high of $17.5 trillion, and that's mortgages, credit cards, and everything added together. To get a feel for how big that number is, last year's GDP, that's the overall value of the total economy in the United States, was only $27 trillion. And here are some more frightening numbers, too. Last year, U.S. credit card debt topped $1.5 trillion, and the per-person credit card number was $20,000. One person who had that kind of debt decided she needed to make a change. She's Angela Davis of Detroit.
It was more like a persistent underlying stress.
Like many of us, registered dietitian Angela Davis did not budget, racked up major credit card debt, and found herself on the minimum monthly payment plan to nowhere.
Maybe one day my bills are $500 this month, and the next month they're $600 because of the interest. So like that insecurity of like not knowing how much money I need to pay off the interest, like just became a rat race.
Making little doing an internship during the pandemic convinced her she had no choice and needed to attack her monstrous debt bomb. A family member told her about Money Management International, a nonprofit credit counseling service. I mean, she's not alone. Spokesperson Thomas Nitschke tells Local 4 the line for their services is getting frighteningly long.
We had 5,000 people go through our online counseling portal alone. We also operate a 24/7 call center. So it's really concerning when we start seeing records broken that way.
Only about 30% of those people end up on what's called a debt management plan. For $25 a month, they consolidate the debt to one lump sum, get negotiated lower interest rates, make one monthly payment to pay off the debt in fairly short order. Also included is a financial education where budgeting becomes the norm. Angela embraced it all and now owes only $8,000 and expects to get to zero by the end of the year.
I'd say I'm more disciplined now in terms of the choices I make, like the decisions I make, traveling, like, you know, some things you got to say no to. I don't need to have fancy, elaborate Christmases, like buying people all the things they want.
Now, to be clear, Money Management International is not the only nonprofit credit counseling service. I've recommended GreenPath for years, and there are others, but GreenPath and Money Management International are the two largest. And considering how large these numbers are, there are many possibly facing bankruptcy. So credit counseling is the step to investigate before hitting that bankruptcy button, which you should only do in the most dire situation. We have all of this and more information linked on clickondetroit.com. So you can do some more reading. Reporting live in the newsroom, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Really helpful information. Okay, Rod, we appreciate it. Let's take a live look outside. We had another glorious day and
lovely shot. We saw that beautiful sunset behind Hank there earlier. I know. Another terrific day, Kim Adams.
It was great. I mean, it wasn't quite as warm as yesterday, but it was still well above normal. In fact, even right now, temperatures are in the low 50s, upper 40s to low 50s, when we should be in the 30s. 50 now in Pontiac, 48 in Mount Clemens, mid 40s, the cool spot down in Monroe. As we widen out the view for you here, well, Jacksonville's dropped down to 67, but today we are colder. Yesterday we were a little bit warmer than parts of Florida, but that has now changed, and we are going to return to more winter-like weather for the next 48 hours. So tomorrow morning, 32 degrees. We'll make it to 43, but it's going to feel more like it's in the 20s tomorrow with our wind chills, and even colder for Saturday before we get a nice, healthy warm-up again next week. We'll talk about all of it coming up.